All right, well, we'll officially go ahead and begin. For the purposes of the recording, this is Wes Fryer. Today's December the 1st, 2011, and this is creating multimedia eBooks. And this is a bit of an experiment on a few different levels. I'm recording this as a screencast, but also sharing this as a video conference. And I'm so excited to have a chance to share a bunch of information and links related to creating what I think are some of the most exciting books that we could be creating today. And those are really not just, it's hard to call it reading because it's not just text, it's hyperlinks, it is potentially audio and video, and a real interactive experience for students. So I'm going to sort of flip a little bit between the computer and seeing me some of the time. But as I mentioned earlier, and hopefully you received through email, if you go to this link, wfryer.me/ebooks, that's a URL shortener that will forward you to a Google site that I've set up, and that includes all the links that we'll be talking about today and kind of an outline of what we're going to be talking about and what we're going to be discussing. The first thing I want to, I guess, address and share a little bit is to talk about ebook formats, because much as we've seen with other kinds of things, for instance, Blu-ray, most recently with enhanced DVDs, different standards are created, and it sometimes takes a while for things to sort of shake out a little bit and for something to get established. And it's a great day for ebook reading. There are more e-readers available. They're less expensive, and then there's more ebooks than ever before, but it can be a little bit confusing. And so the first thing to sort of talk about is formats. And so underneath the referenced resources that I have on our website, I'm just going to open up some of these things in some new tabs. And if you want to follow along on your computer or just want to watch the screen, either way is fine. This is a Wikipedia article that is a pretty good one comparing different ebook formats and what's available. And the main one that I'll draw your, well, a couple, but the main one I want to draw your attention to is this one, which is the EPUB. And EPUB, many people think, is becoming a standard format that all e-readers are going to end up utilizing. Currently, Amazon on their Kindle does not support the EPUB, but you can, if you want to publish a book, publish an EPUB and it will convert it into the Amazon format. So this summer I wrote my first book. I wrote it first as an ebook and have also published it as a print book, but I published it in 3 different formats to try to make it as accessible as possible. The primary format I published in is the EPUB format, and like other standards, there are groups that get together and agree on what does this this code need to do in order to work on multiple devices. And so EPUB has a 2.0 standard that everyone is agreed on. And if you buy a Barnes & Noble Nook today, you have a Sony e-reader, you get an iPad, just about any e-reader with the exception of an Amazon Kindle variant is going to play an EPUB book. But a 2.0 EPUB does not include video and it does not include audio that is embedded inside the book. And so today we're going to talk about different tools to create different kinds of ebooks, but I'm going to focus specifically on the multimedia ebook that you can play right now only on the Apple iPad or an iPhone or an iPod Touch. Let me also say, even though I'm recording this and I want to share this subsequently, please do interrupt me. And my primary goal is to answer your questions and provide good information for you on the video conference, and secondarily to record this to share as a podcast for people to download later. So please interrupt me. If we have a technical difficulty, a disconnection or something like that, we'll navigate through that. But we'll keep our fingers crossed and hope that the gremlins that are sometimes present are going to be cooperative. So EPUB is a format that is an example of what's called reflowable text. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually exit my web browser and I'm going to go here to my iPhone, and I am going to open up the tab for e-texts, and I'll open up the iBooks application. And so inside iBooks, this is an EPUB book. This is the enhanced version of my ebook, and when I scroll down to the section here on audio, what I want to just share as an example is one of these videos. So if we go here, actually let's go to the copyright section, and one of the things with an EPUB is it will create a table of contents on the fly for you based upon the headings that you'll use. And one of the things I'm going to show you and talk about is how you can download from Apple a free template that already has all of your settings for your headings and things like that included inside. So what I'm trying to do, and I thought I had bookmarked this one, and I didn't, is I'm flipping to one of the videos that's in here. I've got 17 videos that are embedded in here, and I was rather than playing the audio one, I'll go ahead and go to the one that I've bookmarked. One of the things that you can do inside the e-reader is you can bookmark things yourself. So I did go ahead and make a bookmark for one of the pages that I wanted to refer to. And so this is in the section about audio, and this is a discussion about my daughter, Rachel, when we were at the USS Arizona. And so you can see there's a picture here. So let's just talk about some of the things that are here inside this page. First of all, there's a hyperlink. So if I click right here on that link, I get a pop-up that says, do you want to leave iBooks and open the link? And I could do that, and right now it is going to actually open that in a separate browser, not inside the iBooks application. It's a little bit of a pain, but it will go to a live link. So one of the things I think you want to put in your multimedia or enhanced ebooks are hyperlinks, because this allows people to extend their learning, get more information, and also get dynamic information, because we'll put stuff in an ebook, and even though we can update it, it can't be updated as quickly as an actual web page on the internet. So that's probably item number one that can go in all EPUBs, not just the enhanced multimedia, they're good to include. So I'm going to click cancel and not go to that. Now here's an embedded picture, and this is a JPEG image. And if I double click on that image, you can see that I can pinch it, and I can, zoom in a little bit. This was taken in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii at the USS Arizona Memorial. And part of the idea of showing this is, if a picture's worth 1,000 words, what's it worth when we put a voice along with that picture? So one of the things that I have, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying wow.
Okay, no, that's good, that's good. So here is a static image that's a screenshot that we've put in, and so I'm going to teach you how to do that today, how to insert static images that we put in. But now we're about to take a step out from just the EPUB 2.0 and go to 3.0, which plays on the iOS devices with the video. So this screen, we can see it has a play button here at the top. And I've gone ahead and plugged in my audio, so you'll be able to hear this. Let me go ahead and let's see if I can rotate my phone here, so you'll be able to see this full screen. And let me try to rotate again. I rotated the wrong way. There we go. Okay, so now I'm going to go ahead and push play. And rather than just play it in that small window, I'm going to play it full screen. This is about a 90-second video. And this is my daughter, who at the time was 6, and I asked her, what are you thinking? She's there at the memorial, she's looking into the water, there's this boat. We're using a free application called Audio Boo on my iPhone, and we just recorded it. So I've made a screencast of that audio so that it'll play as a video, and there's a few other things that we can put in here. But let's go ahead and listen to this really quick.
Hi, my name is Rachel, and now I'm talking about the Arizona ship that sunk. Now, you can see parts of it, but you can't see all of it, but you can, where it ends, because there's 2 balls where it ends. Also, how we got over there, we took a boat, and there is a little tunnel where we can walk out and see the sunken ships. So there's actually one, okay? And
What's special about the ship?
Well, what's special about the ship?
What happened to it?
Well, it sunk. I know I said that one time, and there was 900.
Yeah.
There was 900 men that died in that ship, and they're still in there, but their spirit went up, and their body went down. And also, the Japanese attacked. It was them. They started the war, and that's how it sunk. It got shooting. And that is what I got to say.
Okay, so that's it. Go ahead.
Can I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Just so I understand where we're going with that, with this whole thing. A teacher, I happen to work with a school with a number of students with special needs. I mean, I can see potential just with any students, but a teacher could be adapting a curriculum with either more video or something, just that it can be more interactive for certain students.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I really believe that audio is one of the most underutilized technologies in our schools. I love video. I think video is great, but there are a lot of other complexities that come with video. Larger file size, we have to worry about lighting, we've got to just manage more complexity. Audio can be a very powerful but sort of simpler technology, and so with an enhanced ebook, you have that opportunity to put your students' voices in those. Of course, you don't have to publish any of this openly on the web. You can be creating, some of this that you're going to have locally. But the chance to give students an opportunity to put their best foot forward, to create something they're really proud of, to get permission from their parent and from them to be able to share it, is let's think about an academic yearbook for the year and being able to share some of our best work. And I truly believe that, that can be powerful for student learning. It can, talk about enhancing self-esteem. When we celebrate students' work that they're proud of, they've worked hard for, there's all kinds of benefits that surround that. So, one of the things I really hope will come as a result of all of this are schools creating ebooks and publishing those ebooks and sharing them and giving students the chance to be authors and publishers more than just with text, and being able to, sharing their ideas, but being able to share their voices, their perspectives, and also being able to bring in the community and just extend the learning, because these mobile devices that we can now take home and do a recording and on the weekend and go to the fair, or be at the science fair, and we can record an interview with somebody talking about their project. There's so many different possibilities, and I believe that the book is a bridge from the 20th century to the 21st century, because you don't have, I don't think, any parents coming to a school board meeting today and saying, what are we doing with all these books? We don't need any books. Everybody knows we need books, but if you talk blogs or wikis or any of this other stuff, sometimes people are like, oh, I think blogs, I think that's bad. But no one's arguing about books. So publishing ebooks and helping people understand that we're not giving up the text, we're not giving up writing skills, but what we are doing is gaining the opportunity to have all this additional media and the chance to be able to publish and share this free with our community, with our school, but also with others as well. Very, very powerful, and all of those possibilities are latent here.
Create authentic products.
Yes, absolutely. And I think the book, the ebook, is a fantastic vehicle for being able to do that. Any questions from Suffolk Library you'd like to interject before we move on to the next thing? Doing good. Okay. All right. Very good. Well, please just jump right in if you all want to interrupt. I could probably pontificate on and on more as far as the features. One thing I do want to point out, and I put a link to it here, is that there's an ebook that Al Gore published this last year called Our Choice. And irrespective of what you think of global warming or Al Gore, this is a tremendous ebook that really sets a high bar for what's possible. And I don't know if you've looked at it. It's an iPad-only book, but I mean, you can you know, play with the windmills and change the graphs and do all kinds of interactive things. But here's the deal. My understanding is there were 4 programmers that worked to create that book. And typically, we're not going to have access to that sort of technical resource you know, group to make a book. So what I'm going to show you today isn't Our Choice by Al Gore quality, but it is a fantastic book that goes beyond what any of us experienced in the 20th century reading a book, because it has this media and it has this opportunity to have those things embedded in it. So underneath the link here for authoring in Pages, I've got a couple different links. And the first one that I want to point out to you, it says a sample EPUB document from Apple. I have open here my Apple Pages, and I am going to talk about some different tools, because you don't have to create ebooks on a Mac. But the only way I have found without, well, there is an Adobe product that you can get to be able to create EPUBs. I haven't gone down that route, and I should have that link on here. And I don't remember, it's not InDesign. Adobe does have a product. This is the easiest way that I've found to be able to create the EPUBs with multimedia. And so one of the things you want to do right at the very beginning is you want to download a template that you can open that already has your different styles created, so that you will not have to create those and you can just select them. So that's what I'm going to show you how to do first. So here on the web, I've linked to this page, which is a support document on Apple's website called Creating EPUB Files with Pages. And there is a link here that says download the EPUB best practices. So I'm just clicking download. It is a 2.5 megabyte zip file, which it's going to unzip for me. And what I'm going to do now is just double click it and open it. So it's a 4-page document that has basically a title. It's got a picture here of a frog, and then it has the start of the table of contents, and then here are the table of contents. What you can do with this document, a couple different things. You can import these styles into your document and start to use them. You can also simply just use this document and put your stuff on it. So you can put your picture on it, you can put your title. Let me show you how that would work. So if I was going to do that, and let's say we were going to title this I'll unlock it, our 5th grade fall 2011 writing gallery. So we're going to create a gallery of writing. And then I could say, you know, whatever I wanted to here. I have an image of a frog in here, which is a placeholder. And so in order to put an image here into my document, I can drag it in, but the way that I usually did it was by simply going to the Insert menu and selecting Choose. So I will delete this image, and I'll go ahead and go to Insert, and then I'm going to choose an image which I would like to put into my document. Now, I have created a folder where all of the images that I've used in my entire book here were put in. Let me see if I don't know which one I want to do for the intro. Whatever. We'll put that in. That's not necessarily the one we'll keep, but the point is, it's a great idea when you're think about the ebook as you're putting together the final copy. Okay, you're going to collect all the different pieces for this, and then you're going to assemble them together in the ebook. So you're going to have, if we were going to do a writing, ebook for the semester, everybody's writing. If there's an image that goes with that writing, you're going to have that. So there's a real file management and organization stage to this, which is critical, which is we got to get all the pieces together. And that's a lot like doing a multimedia project or a movie. We can't just grab the camera and start, shooting video. We got to plan storyboards, we got to write scripts, we got to, do all kinds of things before we have the camera in hand. So same thing here. Before you get to this step, you're going to have the pieces of your ebook, and then you're going to be moving them here into your document. So I've inserted this image into the document, and now I can go ahead and, put my byline by Mr. Fryer's 5th grade class or whatever. And that'll be my beginning page, and then I can come down here to my first chapter, and I can start, typing. Now, I'm going to zoom in on this document so you can see, hopefully a little bit better, that I've got a little paragraph icon and I have document styles that I can import. These are the styles that we're using to create this EPUB. And you can see there's one that's for chapters. There's another one here for the header and the footer, for headings and things like that. So you're importing, if you import this, or if you simply start using this document and start typing on it, you are importing a style sheet that you're going to be using. And the reason you want to use those style sheets is because Apple or whoever set this up has customized it for the EPUB. So you should be able to simply highlight text, select the body style that you want, and it'll be formatted correctly. Before I wrote my dissertation the last 2 years, I didn't use styles. I didn't really know what they were. When I wrote a word processing document, I just highlighted stuff and made it bold or made stuff underlined. And what I learned writing a 100+ page document is it's great to use styles because if you need to make a change to one of them, you change the style, and that changes everything within your document. So the EPUB does not have as much control over exactly what things look like as a PDF or other kinds of documents. It is an example of reflowable text. And that's a pretty important thing. What that means is that I can resize things. So let me hide what I've got open here and go back to iBooks really quick. And when I'm here in the iBooks application, and let me switch over to my computer, I can click on my text tool here, and I can hit the large A, and it is going to increase the size of my text so that it's gonna be as large or as small as it needs to be. And that kind of an effect means that you don't get to say this is 15 point, this is 20 point, this is 12 point. You get to define styles, but basically those are headings. So like a heading 1 and a heading 2, subheadings that are beneath those, and also you're going to specify titles and things like that. So that's my number one first recommendation is download the Pages template that Apple provides and use that as a document that you just start editing, or you can import those styles into your document. And there's a way to do that and import that. So let's talk a little bit about that. That's a little bit about images and inserting media. Let's talk a little bit about putting video in, and then talk about exporting it and making it. So just like I did with my images, when I wrote my book, I got everything organized in a single folder. So here is my images folder, and these are all 113 images that are in my book. All of them are JPEG images. And an important thing to keep in mind, and I know this is kind of a little geeky thing, but an EPUB is actually a compressed zip file. When people send us a bunch of documents together as an email attachment, a lot of times they will make a zip file, and that, just like I downloaded the one from Apple, it can have multiple things together. I downloaded it as one thing, but it's got all this extra stuff in it. That's what the EPUB actually is. It is a series of text documents, And then it is also images and other media that can include audio and video that reference each other. And it's a bundle. They're all together. So when you are making your ebook, it's a good idea to follow the same kind of syntax rules that you would use making stuff for the internet, for the web, which means that you wouldn't use spaces or special characters in your file names. And you don't have to be like, it's got to be less than 8 characters. But if you look at the file names here, these are just, there's no spaces, there's no exclamation points. I'm using basically web-friendly names. Now, Pages does a pretty good job of fixing that if you have problems, but that's a good idea to just do that with your files. Now, the other thing that I have in here is a folder of all my videos. So there were actually 17 different videos that I included in here, and Apple recommends exporting your videos as what are called M4V files. And one of the links that I have on the handout for today is a $5 ebook from Liz Castro, which is a supplement to a book she's written, and she has it broken down specifically. Here's, what was recommended that you export your video in. Why is this a big deal? Well, again, it comes down to standards, and there's different devices. The Kindle Fire has just come out, and I'm hoping that Amazon at some point is going to support multimedia books that will play video as well as, have text and links. They don't yet. But the Nook, as an example, will support, and I have not seen this myself, but supposedly it will support this, and so you want to export it according to the standard. The EPUB 3.0 standard has not been agreed upon by the international, the IDC, or whoever is doing that. So Apple has kind of set the rules, and so those specific details, Liz Castro is a good source for getting those. And I will go ahead and put the settings that I used on our page too. I don't have those right now, but I'll include them as well. Let me show you what one of these looks like, and then I'm going to go ahead and put one into our sample book. So here is a simple little video that was created using a program called Sonic Pix on an iPhone. And this was at a beach in California last spring break when we had a chance to be there and visit some family. So this is just a short little video. It's 1 minute and 11 seconds. And what I want to do is I'd like to put this video into my book, into my EPUB. So I'm going to go here to the document that we started earlier. We started editing, this one that we put our little Kodak image in. And let's say here in my first paragraph, I'm going to start talking about, we took a field trip to the beach. And now I want to insert this video. I'm going to go up to the insert menu, and just like I did for an image, the process is the same. I say insert image, and now I'm going to find that image, and I am going to click insert, and it is going to actually bring that video file into my document. So the process of inserting media, whether it's images or video files, or you can also do audio files. You can do an MP3 audio file, is the same in Pages. You go to insert, choose, but you want to have files that are compatible and fit the standard. And one of the things which I have wrestled with is getting my ebook on the iBook store for Apple so that it's in iTunes. And it took a while. It took several weeks to finally get this back. But the resolution on some of my images was lower than they wanted, and so they asked me to increase the resolution of my images. That was a bit of a frustrating process to try to figure that out because it had said I had errors, but it didn't say what my errors were. And so they're very stringent about their standards, but the reason is they want your book to play on all devices. So play on an iPhone, play on an iPod Touch, play on an iPad. So the process of putting those into the document is pretty straightforward. The tricky part is that you want to have them in the right format. And so again, I'll put some details about that. But your JPEG images, like you get from a digital camera, are fine. However, you might want to reduce the size. If you've got a 7 megapixel digital camera, you don't want to put all of those, in full resolution in your book. I should have verified this before I started our conference. And so if I have to correct myself, I'll put it down. But there's a limit to the total number of megabytes that can be inside a single chapter of your EPUB. And I want to say it's like 22 megabytes. Now, you can get around that by, having a couple different ways. You have multiple chapters. You can compress video. But my ebook is over 200 megabytes in size. You might say, oh my gosh, isn't that a problem? It does take a while to download, but the good thing is all the videos are right there inside the ebook. No, I don't have to be connected to the internet. No one has to click a link. You simply push play and it plays. It doesn't matter how fast the internet's going at that time. So when you think about, you mentioned Lori creating curriculum resources and a teacher, customizing the curriculum. That's a great thing for students to have that whole book right there on their device, not have to worry about internet connectivity. They get to watch, those videos and not have to worry about the internet. Now, there's another thing that I didn't mention, and that has to do with what's called inline or floating items. And let me show you what I mean by that. I'm going to go ahead and put another image into our ebook. I'm just going to go Insert, Choose, and I'm going to go back to my Images folder, and I'm going to choose a different image. Here's a nice little image of Bloom's taxonomy talking about how it was revised in 2001 with Create at the top. All right, this is an example of inserted media, and one of the things that you want to make sure you do when you insert media is that you do not, like you might in a Word document or another word processor, you want to put everything in line. You do not want to have it text wrap or word wrap. The reason for that is, again, reflowable text. With a PDF that you make, with a Word file, you can have real good control over, I want my image right here and I want my text to wrap around here because I know it's 12 point and I know exactly where the image is going to be relative to the text. When you create an ebook, you don't know how big the text is going to be because the reader gets to decide. If they'll want it really big, they can zoom in really big. So you insert all your media as what's called inline objects, and that means it moves with the text. Pardon me. In Apple Pages, the way that you see that is up on the top bar, there is a choice called the inspector. And so when I have an object selected and I click the inspector, there are all these different things that I get to choose to change. And the one that I want is the one that controls wrap. It looks sort of like a square with lines, and then it's got a smaller blue square. That handles object placement, and you want everything to be in line. So that's one of the important things to keep in mind when you're inserting media of any kind. Images, audio, video, anything like that. All right. Got somebody else joining us there in Wisconsin. Howdy. Hello, Ann. Glad you could join us. All right, so we've talked a little bit about downloading the sample file from Apple that has those style sheets in them. By the way, we can copy and paste. So one of the things that if you'd like, for instance, to create an academic ebook of the year or the semester, it's great to have a class blog. Why? Because regularly we can be publishing and sharing student writing, and we can copy and paste those things right from the blog over into the ebook, and then we're simply going to select the formatting that we need to apply. So let me show you a quick example of what that would look like. I'm going to go to our family learning blog, which is learningsigns.speedofcreativity.org, and this is just a website that I have my 3 kids who are 8, 8, 11, and 14 published stuff. Here's Rachel's letter to Santa Claus she wrote last night. So that's an image. We could copy that and put that in. But let me scroll down here to some text. And we've got a lot of different things in here. There are a lot of pictures. I'm going to do a little quick search, and we're going to get a poem. Because, oops, if I can spell the word poem right. I sent it a little poem assignment at the beginning of 8th grade, and here it is. So this is a poem that's called The Fire, and what I'm going to do is I'm simply going to highlight this text, and I'm going to copy it. So I could be copying this out of the word processor, but in this case I'm going to copy it off of the blog. So edit, copy, it's all copied, and now I'm going to bring it here into Pages. When I paste it in Pages, I have a couple choices. I can just paste it regularly, but I can also paste it and match the style. And that's probably the choice that I want because, again, this document has styles that have been defined by Apple, and if I'm in, the text body and I paste and match the style, it's going to have the appropriate style to insert. I can highlight this and change the style, again, by going up here to the upper left corner where there's a paragraph symbol, and I can choose the different style. The one that is in here now is body. So most of the text inside my document is going to have a body style. If it's not a heading, if it's not a block quote, if it's not bulleted, there's probably about 10 different styles. But I just wanted to draw that to your attention that when you are copying something from your blog or from somewhere else, a lot of times it will pick up formatting. And so by pasting it to match the style, you don't have to go in there and, what font was that? What size was that? It just matches it and puts it in the correct style. So again, think about this as an assembly process. One of the things you might consider doing is making an ebook for showcasing student work. Maybe that's going to be for the whole school. Maybe that's for one classroom. You might select a teacher who's already using a class blog to document things that they're learning throughout the year that we've already got permission from parents and the students to share online. This is just another format for sharing it. And so we can copy those text posts, and we can also get those images. But ideally, you're going to kind of assemble these pieces together probably before you sit down to do your ebook. But it's going to depend what your process and your workflow is going to be. But that idea of copying it and putting it in here, matching the style and selecting the style, that's how you're going to build your book. What I want to talk about now is how you're going to create the EPUB. And this is the big thing that's different about Apple Pages than Microsoft Word or just any other word processor. I don't know any others that are consumer level, I guess, that aren't very, more expensive. Like I said, there's an Adobe product that will make an EPUB. And this is one of the things that's just awesome about Pages. So I'm going to go to the File menu, and I'm going to choose Export. And I'll zoom in here so you can see these choices a little more clearly on the screen. I've got several different choices to export, and the first choice is PDF. And of course, I could create a PDF of my ebook, and people do that. But PDFs don't support reflowable text, and they don't support the multimedia elements of the images of the movies and the audio like this. I could export it as Word, rich text, or plain text, or here's the choice I want: EPUB, to go ahead and export it. And by the way, you don't have to have every student with a copy of Pages in order to do this. I mean, you really need one computer that's going to be the place where you assemble it and put it together. That's the computer that needs to run Pages in order to do this process that I'm describing here. So once we select EPUB, we are going to put a title, an author, and we can select a genre. And there's also, I'll say our 5th grade student gallery or student work gallery. And then I'll put fall 2011. This is going to actually show up as the title of the book. And then there's an option here that says use the first page of the book as a cover image. So when people are viewing the book inside iBooks, there'll be a little thumbnail graphic. When you check that box that says use the first page, then it's going to do that. So I'll go ahead and click next. It is going to give me an export menu, and I'm just going to export this onto the desktop, and it'll show up here as a file. So let's take a look at this file. So now over here on my desktop, I've got an EPUB file, and if I click on that and get information about it, I can see that this file is 3.1 megabytes in size. All right, so we've created an EPUB book. You know, that's not a final version. There's all kinds of stuff we would do to get that right, but that's the process. Let's review. We're going to download the template from Apple. We're either going to just use that document and change it, or we're going to import the styles into our document, and then we're going to build our content by putting in our text, by importing our media, importing images, video, and audio, and get it like we want it, and then we're going to export it. That's the process. We're going to talk next here about options that you might have for sharing that file and allowing others to be able to download it and access it. But that's basically the process. Let me pause and see if you all want to ask me a couple questions about that. I might talk a little bit about citations, and then I want to talk about some other software options besides the Apple Pages. I want to talk about Calibre a little bit as another software option. Any questions that you guys would like to ask about that process or what that workflow would look like in terms of creating the EPUB?
Actually, you answered it. You're going to talk about Calibre in a little bit.
Yep, we'll do that next.
But for the pages, the EPUB book, the books you create, so that works on any Apple device.
And other devices. What I would recommend that you do if you create a multimedia one is go ahead and create a standard EPUB, meaning you'll just take out the video and the audio, and you can put links in that book that go to those. That way, let's say you've got parents or kids that have a Kindle Fire, and maybe that's not the best example. Well, we'd have to use Calibre to make the Kindle version. It's good to create one that will work. You want maximum accessibility. It would be nice if there was only one. You could create one and work on everybody's. The enhanced right now is only going to work on the iOS devices. So I would recommend, this is what I did with my book, I created the multimedia one first. Got that just like I wanted it. Then I made a copy of it. I changed the title and said this is the standard EPUB, and I took out the movies but left links to the movies. And that way, people with a Sony Reader or a Nook, for instance, they can take that standard version and they'll be able to play it and click the links. And the links will go to YouTube or wherever you have videos, but it's that process is, I think it's best to, this is just the workflow I followed, make the multimedia one first and then kind of strip out the embeds. Your file's a lot smaller. I mean, my main multimedia ebook is over 200 megabytes. I want to say the standard one is something like 15. It's less than 20 megabytes in size. But all that file size depends on how many movies do you have? How big are the movies? Are they compressed? Things like that. Other questions about the process of exporting and putting that together in Pages?
One clarification. I have been researching this. I do have a number of teachers who really would be so ready to do, either their curriculum or products from their classroom. And so I've been researching, like for the iPad, eBook Magic, I think was a suggestion of yours, or the Demi Composer is another app that lets you make a book. And so I'm following through, and they would reference eBook formats or e-reader formats. And one of them said and like eBook Magic, I can get it into that devices. iBook as a selection on that device. Do you have to pay, if I want this available on iTunes, that's another whole discussion about paying to have your book published.
Right. So we'll talk about a little bit. We got about 15 minutes left. We'll talk a little bit more about distributing. I'm going to recommend that that you just circumvent iTunes entirely and look at sharing your EPUBs directly on your website. The best way I've found actually to do that is to use Dropbox. Dropbox is a free website and a free application that gives you 2 gigs of space. And when you put something inside your public folder, one of the things right now with EPUBs on the iPad, if you download just from a regular website an EPUB, it won't open in iBooks. But if you put it in Dropbox in the public folder, that is a way that it will open right in iBooks from your website. So I think the best way is just through your school website. You have a web page that can be on a wiki or a blog or however you want to share it, but you'll put those links with some instructions on how to do that. On that note, let me share one place where you can go to get some additional resources about that. And I'll put this link on our page as well. On my main blog, which is Speed of Creativity, I have a link here that says eBooks, and I've gone ahead and created a page that says Help with eBooks, and this has links for how you can get eBooks that are created like we're talking today on an iPad, on a Kindle, on a Nook. And there are different links. So for instance, for Apple, there's a link that they describe. Here's how you take an ebook that's not on iTunes, and how you put it in. And Apple basically says, download it on your computer, drag it over to iTunes, and synchronize your iTunes. But what I just mentioned will work. Put it on Dropbox, put it in the public folder, and that link, people can hit it right from their iPad. They don't have to synchronize to get it. And, depending on when people are listening to this recording, things are going to change and evolve, and hopefully it'll be better where they can download it from any place, not just from Dropbox. Okay, let's talk a little bit about other software options. There are other ways to create ebooks, and I have links to both Calibre and Sigil, if that's the way to say it, S-I-G-L, in on our website with all the resources. These tools, and I'll go ahead and switch over here into Calibre. These tools are wonderful, but they will not create an enhanced ebook. So you can create the 2.0 ebook, and that can have hyperlinks, that can have images, but it can't have currently video or audio. So just like we were mentioning a minute ago, I recommend make your enhanced version, and then if you want to make other versions, that's where Calibre comes in. So when I created my enhanced ebook, I then copied it and deleted the videos out of the actual book and said, this is the standard book. By the way, if you want to distribute ebooks officially, every format has to have its own ISBN number. So I actually bought a block of 10 ISBN numbers, and there's one for the enhanced EPUB, there's one for the standard, there's one for the Kindle, and there's one for the print version. One of the websites that I want to mention and commend to you today, and that's on our resources page, is called EPUB Bud. EPUB Bud is a website that's set up for helping distribute children's books for free. They will give you ISBN numbers actually for just $5 that you can use for ebooks or physical books. I think that it's actually better as a publisher. It depends on where you're coming at this from. But as a publisher, I think it's better to own your own ISBN numbers. But, people who are seeing this are going to be doing this for different purposes. And you may not, if you're doing something just free and this is something that we've created for school, that may be a good option for you to go with. I'm not going to talk at length about copyright, but I did release the whole chapter on copyright in my ebook for free on my website. So on playingwithmedia.com, you can click copyright. That's important here when we're publishing and sharing media. We need to create content that complies with copyright law. And there's wonderful, Creative Commons licensed media that we can include. There are good ways that we can do that. But I'll mention that in the context of being able to share. So you can publish children's books directly to ePubBud, and you can look at their website as a resource. But let's talk a little bit about converting. What I've done here in Calibre, this is set up, and this program runs on Mac, it runs on Windows, and I think it even runs on Linux. You can add books to your library by clicking Add Books, and in fact, let's do that. I'm going to click Add Books and go to my desktop. Let's add our little 5th grade, gallery book that we just exported as a demonstration. And so I've imported this here into Calibre, and Calibre will allow you to view your standard ebook. So I can scroll down here through my ebook and see there's the poem that we imported and there's the picture. It lets me view those, but one of the best things about it is I can convert my book. So I'm going to come up here to the top where there's a icon that looks like a brown square with recycling squares. It says Convert Books, and I'm going to click on that link, and then it's going to give me a choice on what I want to do in terms of converting. So in the upper left corner, it says the input format. I've brought it in as an EPUB, and there's a lot of different things that I can change here. Metadata is going to be my main, title, author, genre, things like that. So I have an input format, and if I go over here to the right side of my screen, I have an output format, and this looks like Greek. Okay, there's all these different choices. I would recommend that you do 2 things with Calibre. You convert your standard EPUB into a MOBI version, M-O-B-I, and if you would want to, you could make some changes to it and make it a standard EPUB. But iBooks will do the EPUB. The MOBI is the thing that that Pages won't do, and MOBI is an unprotected version of Amazon's format. So when you export as MOBI, that is Kindle ready. Kindle Fire, any of the versions of Kindle, that's going to work. So Calibre is a program that I use to export my ebook as a MOBI file and make that available for the Amazon Kindle. If you're going to publish a book, you're going to actually put it on for sale on Amazon.com. The website that, and I have this linked on our resources page, is called Kindle Direct Publishing. And so it's just kdp.amazon.com. You don't have to go through Calibre and use that process. You can upload a Word document. You can now take an EPUB and directly upload it. I publish my ebook both to Amazon.com as well as Barnes & Noble's website. But in the context of schools and not thinking about necessarily selling these, we may just be creating these for the class and publishing them for parents to be able to see. Calibre is a good tool to use for converting. And one thing that I did do on mine was I made my table of contents come first. I think normally with the EPUB, it will create the table of contents dynamically. But I went ahead and created the table of contents for the Kindle version, and then I made it, put that at the very beginning of it. So the other program that I have in this section is called Sigil, and this is a open source program. It's available as what's called a What You See Is What You Get book editor, so you can download this for Windows or for Mac. It's going to be another option for people that want to edit ebooks. It's I don't think as user friendly as Pages, but it's another tool that's available. My recommendation to folks is, again, assemble your content, get your text files together, get your image files together, get your video files together, and then use Pages to put the ebook together, and you can export it. Calibre has other kinds of features that I haven't even explored, but the main one I'm interested in is how do I get my ebook accessible by parents and students who are using a Kindle. And once you've got that Mobi version, you could put it on your library card catalog and have students and parents download it, put it on the website. And this is part of what we ought to be doing in school, is having students, creating curriculum, teachers creating curriculum, and then making those available and accessible as ebooks. That's why copyright is really important, because I believe part of what we need to do as educators is create content that follows copyright, that doesn't have to just be hidden and protected inside the boundaries of our school district. Because we've respected copyright, we can now publish and share that with the whole world. And if you've done a wonderful Civil War unit about Gettysburg and your students created an ebook about that, I want to be able to use that with my kids and be able to do that kind of sharing. So that's why the copyright conversation is really important in this. We've got just a few more minutes left, and I'm taking a look at our outline, and I've kind of already covered a little bit of the publishing options. We talked about Dropbox. Put your finished EPUB files inside the public folder of Dropbox, and I'll just show you really quickly what that looks like. I've logged in here to my Dropbox, and I'm going to go to my public folder, and whenever I have a document here on my public folder, I'm going to go ahead and zoom in so you can see this a little bit better. You can click the little arrow beside it and you can copy the public link. Again, you're only going to have a public link when you put it in the public folder. So you got to put this in the public folder, but it will give you the public link that you can then share with others and let them directly download it to the iPad. There's a teacher in California right now using my Playing with Media book with students, and we've been trying to work through the process of how to not be tethered, not to have to connect the device. And one way of getting EPUBs back and forth there is by using Dropbox. I've already mentioned EPUB Bud. I will mention for the Apple iBook store, as of this summer, Apple had designated 5 aggregator companies that were helping people get the ebooks, published onto iTunes and in the iBook store. Of course, everybody wants their piece of the pie in that whole food chain. Apple takes 30%, and these aggregators are going to take a percentage as well. So I haven't opted to work with one of those. I've fiddled around with these things on my own. But it certainly could make things less complicated if you wanted to directly work with those aggregators. And what you're going to want to do is register as an iTunes publisher, and there's something called iTunes Connect. And iTunes Connect is Apple's website and portal that everyone uses who publishes to iTunes. So whether you're publishing music or you're publishing videos or you're going to publish ebooks, you can create that account for free and set that up and then be able to upload directly. You can only upload from a Mac. So I'll point out that at the bottom of our handout today, we've got links to 10 different free resources and podcasts and posts. Part of what I tried to do this summer is kind of share all the different pieces that I was learning about ebooks and how to make things more accessible. Like I said at the very beginning with formats, I hope this is, and it probably will become simpler as the EPUB 3.0 standard. We agree on that, or that the bodies that set those standards agree on them. And hopefully everybody's device is going to support that. Why doesn't it today? Because of copyright, because of Amazon wanting to protect content and keep people from sharing books and things like that. I will note that the default setting on both Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing site, Barnes & Noble site, Apple site, is to put DRM or digital rights management on your book, which would prohibit lending. And so one of the things I did was take that off so that if people want to, they can lend the books and be able to share them. So I think we are at the top of the hour, but we have got a little bit of time if you all would like to ask a couple more questions. Anything else that you would like to ask about some of the things we've talked about, or something that we haven't talked about that's related to ebooks?
I have kind conversations all the time. What do you think of textbook manufacturers? When are they going to have an enhanced format for schools?
I don't know. My personal perception about textbook manufacturers is they would like to perpetuate the continuing good deal for them as long as they can. And what I've seen has been really a piecemeal sort of thing about, well, here's a little something electronic that you can go to. I believe we've got to write curriculum as teachers. There are good projects like Curriki. There is Flat World. Let me get this right. Flat World Knowledge. There are Flex Books. If you're not familiar with Flex Books, those are all places where folks are publishing open textbooks. Flex Books is more for K-12. Flat World Knowledge is more for university and college. But we need to create them. Rice University has a great project called Connexions, I think. And for instance, algebra, there's all, just free curriculum that is being created. So, I hope the publishers are going to come on board, but I think this is where we come in as publishers and writers. The copyright conversations are really important. So we're going to get content that we have the right to share or that we've already been given permission to share because of Creative Commons. But I really believe that we as educators, learners, students are going to probably provide a much stronger stirring stick to the mix of curriculum by publishing our content and sharing and allowing other people to remix it and use it, even more so perhaps than textbook manufacturers will. But the Flat World Knowledge Group, I'll flash that up on the screen. That's where I want to write my textbook. You publish it there, lets anybody view it for free, but if you want to have a downloadable version, then you can buy that for a fraction of what a regular textbook costs, get an audio version. But as an instructor, I can completely customize that to what I need. So I don't have to use your 10 chapters. I can use chapters 1, 5, and 6, and then I can insert other things and have a custom textbook that just meets the needs of our course and what I want to teach. And that kind of a model, I think, is a big part of the future of publishing and curriculum. Any other questions?
Wow, you really answered a lot. That was fabulous. Absolutely fabulous, Wes.
Okay. Any questions from Suffolk Library?
No, thanks. That was great.
All right. Well, thank you all so much for taking the time to be here. Like I said, I'm going to make this available as a 99-cent downloadable podcast, but I will send you all direct links to be able to get copies for today. I'll also send you all some free links to download a free copy of my ebook if you'd like. And so you guys can check that out. And let me know if I can be of assistance to you. I've got some schools. We just had New Hampshire at their technology conference, worked a discount deal with them, so they provided the ebook to everybody at their conference this week. And I really think we need to encourage every teacher to read ebooks because we can't be the experts on literacy in our communities today if we're not using ebooks. Doesn't mean we'd throw away all our regular books, but we need to read them and understand what the power of them can be. But then we need to make the shift to not just reading them, but creating them. So I'm so excited that you all are here. I would love for you to stay in touch with me via Twitter or email. Let me know what you do. I'll amplify that out and share that on my blog and other places because I think that there's never, ever been a more exciting day. I mean, the days of Gutenberg and Martin Luther, those would have been kind of heady, exciting days too. But being able to put the work of our students, our work in global distribution, basically for free, for zero opportunity cost. I mean, once you've got the computer and the software, we could be publishing ebooks all day long. And if we've got our website and those things in place, we're not spending any additional money to let an unlimited number of people download and access the ideas that we've created, not just with text, images, audio, video, all those things. So it's exciting stuff.
Wow.
All right, the bell has just rung in Wisconsin, so it must be time to close.
All right. Wow. I sure will keep in touch. You really answered so many questions, and my head is spinning. So now we'll share.
All right. Well, I'll shoot some emails to you all, and you'll also get an evaluation link from the CILC. Please fill that out. And if you got other ideas for video conferences or other things that you'd like along these lines or just along the media lines, let me know. I'm going to do 11 more of these this month, and if you miss any of them, they'll be available as podcasts as well, so you can check those out. And that's all. Oh yeah, so here's my last little plug. I actually did a slide for this. I've got a website called share.playingwithmedia.com, and these are all examples of student work. So students and teachers are sharing examples of images, audio projects, video projects, and each month I'm giving away a technology goodie in a random drawing to people who submit, and we're doing an iRig microphone this month. So it'll be something good every month, and you can share that as well, because it's great to see examples of, here's the kind of media we can create, and of course any of that media can then be put into an ebook that we would archive and share. All right.
So I shared something, and yeah, that was really great to see. Wonderful.
Okay.
Thanks so much, Wes.
Thank you all so much for tuning in.